Hey, it's Mrs. Gosh,
And Mr. T.
and we're here to talk to you about fraction equivalence today. The other day we were working on the pizza, and we thought that was kind of a funny introduction to how we're going to teach you about equivalent fractions. Today we're actually going to use tortillas though, so stay tuned. Okay, so remember kids, when we're talking about fractions, we're talking about something less than 1. Okay, we're not talking about number 100, 150. Everything we're talking about is between 0 and 1. Okay, so we're gonna put that on a timeline later, or not on a number line later. So we've got this nice delicate stack of tortillas to show you some equivalent fractions. Okay, this first one we've cut into 8 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we have each of these pieces is called 1/8. So if we take this half of the pizza over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4/8. So 4/8 equals a half. So we're going to pull those down, and we're going to pull these up. And now you can see the next layer we have has 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if I put these back on, that is the same amount as when I take them off. So 4 out of our 8 is the same as saying 3 out of 6. Okay, so now if we pull them out even farther, we're going to take off this half, which is 3/6, and this half, which is 3/6. And now all of a sudden we have 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we put our 3 back on, 3/6 is the same as saying 2 out of 4, or 2/4. So if we scoot these out even farther, which we're going to have to buy new tortillas because we're having tacos tonight. Now we just have 2 pieces. 1, 2. So now we just have, this piece right here is 1/2. Now if we put this back on, remember, these 2 out of 4 is the same as 1/2. So when we take out the half, we have our 1 whole piece. So I'm going to put them back on, and we're going to do that one more time, doing it the opposite way. So 1 whole divided in half. We have 1/2 and 1/2 equals a whole. Okay, and now we're going to add a 1/4 and a 1/4 to get a half, another 1/4 and another 1/4 to get another half. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces out of 4 is a whole. Now we're going to add 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, and that equals a whole. So 3/6 is a half, 6/6 is a whole. Then we're going to add an 1/8, 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 and an 1/8. So 8/8 is a whole. So 4 out of 8 is a half. All right, so now we're gonna go to our papers, and we're gonna work on this with numbers on a paper. So now we need to teach you what these fractions look like on paper. Now that you kind of understand the concept with tortillas and pizza, we're gonna put these on paper because that's what you're gonna be doing in 4th and 5th grade. So we're gonna turn this paper, and we're gonna write 1/2, 1/2. Can I see that? We'll sit a little closer.
Yep,
Right there, perfect. And now we want you at home to go ahead and pause the video and try to think of a fraction that's equivalent to 1/2. Okay, so if you had the answer 2/4, or 3/6, or 4/8, or 5/10, you're right, those all equal 1/2. And how did we do that, Mr. T? Whatever we did to the top,
Ooh, we have to do to the bottom.
we do to the bottom. So we multiplied 1 times 2. And we multiplied 2 times 2. And we got 2/4. Okay, now when we went to this one, we multiplied times 3. And we went to this one, we multiplied times 4. So what did we do to get to the next one?
Multiply the top and the bottom both by 5.
Yes, we did. Both times 5.
And
Now,
they're all equivalent
To
fractions.
1/2.
Yes.
Exactly. But when we're working with fractions in 4th and 5th grade, we always want to have what do we call it?
Least common denominator.
The least common denominator.
Mhm.
So we want the one that's the most simplified.
Yes.
Okay.
The
And
10
Mr.
is
T
not very
struggled with that when we were cutting pizza. He didn't really understand that, so I had to teach him. But if we wanted to simplify 5 over 10, we have to think, what does a 5 and a 10 both have in it? They both have a 5. So if we divide 5 by 5, we get 1. If we divide 10 by 5, we get 2. So this is our simplified fraction, okay? So let's go to the next fraction. Let's do, what do you think, 2/3?
I was going to say 2/3.
2/3? 2/3. And on a pizza, if we draw a pizza and put it in 3 pieces, 2/3 would be this piece and this piece. Okay? So what's equivalent to 2/3? So let's start with multiplying the top by 2
And
and the bottom by 2. So we would have 4/6. And that would be the same as if we took all those and cut them in half. And now we have those same 2/3 are now 4
pieces
out of
the whole.
6. Okay? Now if we multiply 2 times 3 and multiply 3 times 3, what's 2 times 3? 6. And what's 3 times 3? 9. So 6/9 is the same as 2/3. But remember, we want it simplified, okay? So if you get a fraction like this, we know, that is not simplified because they both have the number 3 that goes into it. And if you divide 6 by 3, you get your 2, and divide 9 by 3, you get your 3. So 2/3 is our simplified fraction. Okay, so we're gonna come up with some that we want you to practice, and then we're gonna show you those. We're gonna have you pause the screen, and we're gonna have you practice those for a while. Right here these are our 3 examples, and Mr. T made a really good point after I paused the video that he needs to walk you through a little bit about
Simplifying your fractions and finding the factors for them.
Yes. So our first example is 10/12.
So you do a problem, you come up with an answer, you get 10/12. You got to ask yourself, is that the simplest form of that fraction? So what do you got to do? You got to find the factors for both the numerator and the denominator. So let's find the factors. Go ahead and make your little quotation marks or your parentheses. And you think, okay, what times what equals 10? Well, we all know that 10 times 1 is going to give us 10. And we know that 2 and 5 are 2 factors of 10. Okay, so we found our factors for 10. 3 times nothing, you can't get 10. So let's do 12. So we know that 1 times the number itself is going to give us 12. And then let's think of another one. Well, it's an even number, and we all know that...
2.
Okay, all even numbers can be divided by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 6 is going to give us 12. And then let me think. I think there's one more factor.
3 goes into 12.
3. 3, 6, 9, 12. 3 times 4 is going to give us that 12. Okay, so we found our factors for both 10 and 12. Now we got to go through and see what they have in common. Well, they both have 1 in common, but if you divide by both of these by 1, you're still going to get 10/12. So we're not going to worry about the 1, because it's going to be the same for every time. All right, let's keep going on. Let's see what else they have in common. 10 can be divided by 2, and 12 can be divided by 2. Okay, that's good.
Okay, good to know.
Let's keep going. 5. Does it have 5 in common? Nope. Does it have 4 in common? Nope. 6 in common? Nope. 10 in common? Nope. 12 in common? Nope. So the only 2 numbers that these could both be divided by is 2. So we're going to do the same to the top. as we do to the bottom.
You got that from me.
I did.
Are you mocking me?
No, I love it. So we have 10 12ths, and we're going to divide it by what numbers they have in common. They both can be divided by 2. All right, 10 divided by 2. So I could count up by 2s and try to figure out what it is. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Check out my fingers. 10 divided by 2 is
Those
going
are
to be
nice fingers.
5. Thank you.
Remember that time when you went on the announcements and you told the kids you liked their faces? It makes me think about your fingers right now.
It's true. I do like all your faces. So then we're going to do 12 divided by 2. Let's count up by 2s again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Oh, there's that other finger.
So 12 divided by 2 is going to give us 6.
And that, kids, is your simplest form of the fraction.
That is what you're looking for. If you don't have that, you're going to be in trouble.
Yep.
So you got to
True.
make sure to reduce and simplify your fractions to the lowest.
Okay, so I'm going to show you these bottom two. Go ahead and do them on your own at home. Try to figure out the factors and then come up with the simplest fraction. Mr. Tembor wanted you to see my mug. He thought it said, "You are something
Emma Gickle.
Emma Gickle."
But
really, it's "You are something magical." Show him the back. It's got a nice unicorn booty with a rainbow. How cute.
very.
All right, back to business. All right, so these are our answers for number 2 and 3. So 9 12ths, if you take the 9 divided by 3 and the 12 divided by 3, you're going to get 3 fourths. So 3 fourths is going to be our simplest answer. Go ahead and circle that one, Mr. T.
There's the simplest form.
That's not a circle. That's a good try.
I did my best.
And then 6 tenths, what we could divide each of those by was 2. So when you divide 6 by 2, you get 3. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. So you get 3 fifths. And so those are the same. Just like when we were doing our tortillas, and we were saying that, let's see, 4 out of the 8 pieces was equal to 1 over 2, which is a half. Promised, we're going to do our fraction number line. And I'm going to remind everybody that a fraction is just part of one thing. So none of our numbers here get above 1, okay? So on the right side over here, we have a 1, which is going to be this tortilla. This whole tortilla. And over here we have absolutely 0. So there's no tortilla. Okay, and so then we want to put the number, or the fraction 1/2 on the paper. So obviously if it's cut right down the middle, it's equal on both sides. Where's 1/2 going to go on our number line?
Over here? Over there?
Right in the
middle.
I think right in the middle is a good answer.
I agree.
So let's put 1 over 2 right in the middle of our number line. Hey, that's not right in the middle.
Oh, sorry. Oh, my bad.
Right there. So that is 1/2. Nice
Awesome.
work, Mr. T. And here's the other half of that. We're going to throw that on there. All right, now we have 4 pieces. So obviously this 1/4 is smaller than 1/2.
Ooh, look at
But how much smaller?
Look at that. It's half of 1/2.
It's literally 1/2 of a half. So where do you think that's going to go on our number line, Mr. T?
Somewhere over here. If it's half as much as this, it's going to be in the middle between 0
Right in
and
the
1/2.
middle, exactly.
Is that one the middle?
That's the middle.
All right.
So that's 1/4.
Ooh, I like this number.
And we
line.
have, I know, me too. We have 4 of those pieces that are equal to 1/4. Now we have a jumbled mess because Mr. T couldn't flip it over very well. So we're going to reorganize. That's 4/8, which is equal to a half, and another 4/8, which is equal to a half. So let's pull one of those out. 1/8. And let's put that on the 1/4 and see what it's about, how much it is. It looks like it's about half of a fourth.
Yeah,
Right?
I bet I could put 2 of them on there. Look at that.
And then equal a fourth.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm thinking since 1/8 is exactly half of a fourth, it's going to go exactly halfway between 0 and a fourth. That equals 1/8. All right. So far our smallest fraction is 1/8. And then we get a little bit bigger to 1/4, a little bigger to 1/2, and then much bigger to 1. Okay? But we had the other fraction in there that we're going to show you right now. And that was 1/6.
Well, this is
And
tricky.
we have to decide where to put that one. This one's a little harder. So, those 6/6 make up a whole, but we're going to take out a 1/6 and figure out where it belongs. So if we compare a 6 to an 8, we can see that it hangs over, right?
It's a little bit more.
It's a little bit bigger than an 8. So it's not going to go down here. It's not closer to 0, okay? But let's see now how it compares to a 4th.
A little bit less.
It's a little smaller than a 4th. So it's going to have to go smaller than a 4th, but
More than 1/8.
bigger than an 8th. So I would say that the 1/6, I'm going to eat that part
I
off.
get that.
That would drive me nuts.
That was
It's
on
going
the
to
ground.
go, oh, gross. Yuck. Dog hair. It's going to go right between 1/8 and 1/4. 1/6. So, if you're looking at this timeline, we've got 1/8.
Number line.
Sorry, number line. We're going to do a timeline later tonight, though. 1/8, 1/6, 1/4, 1/2. What do you think could go right between 1/4 and 1/2?
Ooh.
If
That's,
you
that's a critical thinking question.
Because you see the numbers here getting smaller at the bottom, but there's only one number between 4 and 2, which is
3.
3. So we are probably going to have to put 1/3 right between 1/4 and 1/2. Nice.
It's funnier. The lower the denominator gets,
Or the
more it's
smaller, you
worth.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The smaller it gets. It's kind of opposite of real numbers.
So 1/8 is going to be our smallest. It's a teeny tiny sliver of a pizza. 1/2 is kind of a bigger piece of pizza.
Kind of a nice sized tortilla. That'll feed
Yeah,
you.
I'd rather have this one though, the one whole.
On whole.
So there's our fraction number line so far for today, and I think that that's pretty good to stick with. What do you think about our number line, Mr. T?
I think it's better than a timeline.
I think so too. Thanks for joining us while we learn a little bit more about equivalent fractions. And I know a lot of you are probably getting it. Some of you might not be getting it yet. Please let us know if you're getting it, or if you're not getting it, what's the hard part for you right now? Because next time we're ready to move on to adding these fractions and subtracting these fractions. So as long as we know you guys are getting it, we're moving on next week, okay? Bye, miss you all. Keep reading.
Always keep reading.